Hi, I'm Eileen.
Good seeing you again.
Good to be here.
You know, ever since I got on Facebook, I get to look at people, you know. It's kind of a very voyeuristic thing. You know? It's like, oh, look at that. There's Eileen, I haven't seen her in a year. You know?
Yeah.
And there she is, and this is what she did last month. Had a good birthday, huh? It's all very new to me, I have to tell you.
So I just wanted to share my experience, and it's somewhat, I think, obviously linked to my experience on Monday. And you were talking about the different, paths to going to the same place, like the Yanni, that direct knowledge and experience. And I feel like that's kind of more of what I experienced tonight, where, and it's like a cool place for me to hang out. I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I feel like I kind of check out in that space, where the bhakti is much more energizing to me, and I'm present, and I want to express it.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can just speak to where that heart consciousness fits into the four bodies of consciousness.
Very good. It's the fourth body. One way to look at it is, like we talked about on Monday, the two wings of a bird. There is this path of true knowledge, which is the emptiness of awareness, right? In India, there's actually a name for that. It's called Shiva. So before Shiva was this blue god, it was mentioned in the Vedas as a principle. They said there was this principle that there is this all-encompassing awareness that has no form. It's just this infinite space that is resting in the awareness, in the stillness of itself. And they gave that a name. They said that principle is called Shiva. And they said that, and this is also from the Vedas, they said that, and there was a stirring and a movement throughout that stillness that, and this is kind of like what kind of gets the mind going, it's like, wait a minute. What was Jerry Garcia talking about in the song Ripple when he said, which he said is a koan, by the way, when he said, a ripple in still water when there is no pebble tossed or wind to blow. Well, wait a minute, it's either still or it's a ripple. It can't be both. But really what we're talking about here is it's both. Okay, there is no disparity here because in the Tao, unity dances beyond the opposites. So in this stillness where there was nothing, there is something that is still nothing, but is still something. And it's talked about as a wave of life itself, a wave of a life-giving substance that is the very essence of it was the core of true love that moved through everything. And actually, this is where this universe was created. It's almost like when Shiva, everything was dark, right? This dark, kind of quiet infiniteness. Then all of a sudden what happens is that the lights go on. And like the reflected light off the moon coming from the sun, Shiva's like the sun. You don't really ever see the sun's light, right? You only see the reflection off of things. In the same way, this is considered to be, the feminine comes in now. Shiva was considered to be more the masculine aspect. So when this movement of this life-giving energy, which is light itself and love, in the Vedas they call that Shakti. Later on in the pantheon of gods, they made Shakti a goddess, like, she's got hair long and just whatever. She's got all these arms and everything, and Shiva's this guy, But before that, they're talking about these principles. So the third body of consciousness is Shiva. And the fourth body of consciousness is Shiva Shakti. Adinadishwarar. This kind of sometimes graphically demonstrated as, it looks like half Shiva and half Shakti, or half Durga. But I had somebody explain to me that there really isn't, in that artist rendition of Ardhanarishwarar, that was just the way that it had to be portrayed in the picture, because he says, there's really no difference. It's a blending like the yin and yang, creating one thing. So there's an interplay back and forth. But the fourth body is kind of like where it all comes together. And you can kind of get a sense of that emptiness of awareness really in the third body really is kind of like the doorway to the next, isn't it? It gives that emptiness of awareness meaning and purpose. Because without love, what makes anything worth it? None of it is even worth it. Papaji had this wonderful quote that, when he said it, it was like everyone just resonated right away. Because, he's very much more bhakti, really, although his enlightenment came from, jnani. He said, the pain of separation is sweet. Because within that longing is knowing what it is. And he went as far to say as that the longing is sweeter than union itself.
It's not often that we're encouraged to stay in that longing. It's usually try to fill it up with something, do something.
Right. Until you start discovering the sweetness of it. It's so sweet that they say just all it takes is one drop on the tongue and like you're done for, It's all over for your life as you know it after that. So just like the yin and yang, you find out there's like a flow, Sometimes everything's just quiet, Other times your heart is so filled that you feel like it's going to burst wide open. And when it does burst wide open, what happens? It bursts wide open and you are no longer there. So when we tune into the third and fourth body of consciousness, we realize that this flow is happening every moment, the spinning of the yin and yang. Carl Jung himself said that in his cosmology, said that what he called the anima, which is the male aspect of the energy, and anima is the feminine and animus is the male. He says the merging together of the anima and the animus is the doorway to the soul. You need those two wings to fly. And it's almost like there's in direct awareness. When you start paying attention to it, when there is a moving into this third and fourth body, you get to find out that it's in interaction with it this moment and every moment. Even though there is all this drama going on in the first and second body of consciousness, It's like, beyond that is this. And we get these glimpses of it. This is the other thing I want to mention too. We are not meant to live there. So if you feel like that's what your spiritual practice is about, is living there, I only have one thing to say: good luck with that one.
We don't need a body to live there.
Exactly. It happens outside of the physical. That's exactly right. It's not physical. So there's, as we say, that's the good news. That it's there all the time. That is readily accessible, because it is much more accessible than the other stuff, because that is actually who we are. This Shiva Shakti. This emptiness awareness and the fullness of love.
Right, it's emptiness and fullness.
Yes, exactly. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew it did. You could see things kind of going, yeah. It's like the cells go yes, you know. All right, thank you.